Alright, Shalom Israel. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, for allowing me to do another lesson. I want to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect. And it's going to be a reply to the guy, Dabu77, which I re-uploaded it on my page, called 760 million people on lockdown. And that refers to what's going over there in China right now. All right. And I actually found an article where it speaks on, it basically just goes into what the guy Dabu7 was saying. All right. So I'm going to go into it. All right. And then, we're going to get some examples because, these things are coming to America. And we can look around the rest of the world to see the devastation of this place. All right. And this is the Lord showing us that he's on his way. All right. And us of the hopeful elect, as the scriptures say, we know perfectly that the Lord cometh as a thief in the night. And you can say, well, how is the Lord really coming as a thief in the night when you see all these things happening around the world? Because most people are not watching for these things. Most people don't care to watch the news. Most people take the coronavirus, World War III, they take that for a joke, at least over here in America. So when these things happen to them, the Lord is gonna be as a thief in the night, and plus, we don't know. We know it's coming, but we don't know exactly when it's coming. We don't know exactly when the Lord is going to cut the lights out, so to speak, on this place. All right. So the article reads: to tame coronavirus, Mao style social control blankets China. Despite their high-tech tools, the authorities are mainly relying on a flood of workers to keep hundreds of millions of people from coming in contact with outsiders. It says, reads on, China has flooded cities and villages with battalions of neighborhood busybodies, uniformed volunteers, and Communist Party representatives to carry out one of the biggest social control campaigns in history. The goal? To keep hundreds of millions of people away from everyone but their closest kin. The nation is battling the coronavirus outbreak with a grassroots mobilization reminiscent of Mao-style mass crusades not seen in China in decades, essentially entrusting frontline epidemic prevention to a supercharged version of a neighborhood watch. Housing complexes in some cities have issued the equivalent of paper hall passes to regulate how often residents leave their homes. Apartment buildings have turned away their own tenants if they have come from out of town. Train stations block people from entering cities if they cannot prove they live or work there. In the countryside, villages have been gated off with vehicles, tents, and other improvised barriers. All right, and this is Second Ezra 15 all the way. And when this happens in America, people are going to, they're not going to abide by the rules. All right, because here it is, people are used to, Chicken Shack being open till 3, 4 in the morning. Used to going to the Poppy store to get your sandwich or your Lucy. You used to going, first of the month, your check coming in, you spending it all on alcohol or whatever jig do. And that they're not used to the suffering, man. The not being able to leave your house. All right, having to eat whatever's in your house. And they're not gonna abide by those rules, man. Like the Lord told Ezekiel, they're not gonna hear us because they didn't even hear the Lord. And our people is known as a stiff-necked and rebellious people. So Esau, that will bring in what? James 12, where the Lord said that, or Revelation 12, Salakia, that Esau is gonna come down having great wrath. Okay. Upon who? You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Which there's more than just Black Hispanics, and Native Americans that live in America. We know that. All right. But, as far as the Lord's people goes, that's considered Jacob's trouble. All right. So it says, housing complexes in some cities have issued the equivalent of paper hall passes to regulate how often residents leave their homes. Apartment buildings have turned away their own tenants if they have come from out of town. Train stations block people from entering cities if they cannot prove they live or work there. In the countryside, villages have been gated off with vehicles, tents, and other improvised barriers. It says, despite China's arsenal of high-tech surveillance tools, the controls are mainly enforced by hundreds of thousands of workers and volunteers who check residents' temperature, who check residents' temperature, log their movements, oversee quarantines, and most important, keep away outsiders who might carry the virus. And if they're willing to do this to 760 million people, how much easier, how much do you think that they would do it to 300? All right, that's supposed to be the supposed census of the, America. All right, 300 million people. So it says residential lockdowns of varying strictness, from checkpoints at building entrances to hard limits on going outdoors, now cover at least 760 million people in China, or more than half the country's population, according to a New York Times analyst of government announcements in provinces and major cities. Many of these people live far from the city of Wuhan, where the virus was first reported and which the government sealed off last month. Throughout China, all right, so hey, that goes to show you, man. Even if you're not necessarily near, all right, let's say, for example, you may live in, let's say, because over here in New Jersey, right, you may live over in, down the shore or whatever, but even because you live in Newark, they may lock that place down, man, even though there's nowhere near, so basically showing you that when the coronavirus comes here, which I'm going to get into that in a little bit, you should be afraid, man. Don't take it for granted because it's not in your state or it's not nowhere near the town where you may live in, that, you're not in jeopardy of getting quarantined, man. So it says, throughout China, neighborhoods and localities have issued their own rules about residents coming and going, which means the total number of affected people may be even higher. Policies vary widely, leaving some places in a virtual freeze and others with few strictures. China's top leader, Xi Jinping, has called for an all-out people's war to tame the outbreak. But the restrictions have prevented workers from returning to factories and businesses, straining China's giant economy. And with local officials exercising such direct authority over people's movements, it is no surprise that some have taken enforcement to the extreme. You see? Li Jing, 40, an associate professor of sociology at Xinjiang University in the eastern city of Hangzhou, was almost barred from taking her husband to a hospital recently after he choked on a fishbone during dinner. The reason? Her neighborhood always allows only one person per family to leave the house every other day. Once the epidemic was disclosed, you see, so it don't matter what the hell going on, man. You might end up, a relative in the house might catch a heart attack, but shit, that's just tough luck, man. That's how Esau's coming. And if you don't think that he's capable of this, all right, just check the videos as far as I want to say Hurricane Harvey, and Hurricane Katrina, when there are interviews telling you that they raping people and treating people badly in those so-called help centers that they set up, aka FEMA centers, man. Or what they was doing to the so-called Hispanics, which are Israelites as well, and when they were detaining them from coming across the border, man. Having women drink out of toilets, separating the kids from the family. This is how Esau is gonna come down, man. Now I had another article. All right, and you may say, well, oh, that's just over there in China. What they got to do with us? Well, guess what? When you just type in coronavirus USA, you get a bunch of articles showing you that coronavirus has hit over here now. It says 14 Americans take off cruise ship and flown to U.S. test positive for coronavirus. All right. This is airlines. Let's see, coronavirus cases nearly doubled in U.S. after charter flights pick up American evacuees. I'm just trying to skim through to get the meat off the bone, so to speak. 14 Americans who were aboard the Diamond Princess cruise ship and were evacuated to California and Texas aboard charter flights tested positive for the virus upon landing, adding to the 15 confirmed U.S. cases. And I've heard stories of I've seen articles, Salakia, all right, of coronavirus victims over there, Texas, Boston, California, so it's all throughout the U.S., here and there, so hey, it's already here, man. This is one from 10 hours ago. 300 plus Americans, 14 with coronavirus, flown to U.S. military base. Okay, 14 Americans aboard. So all in all, hey, we see that it's already here, man. So it's only a matter of time before Esau takes so-called, necessary measures to tame it over here in America. All right, and it's through the spirit that I have found this article, which says, will we still have power and water if we had a massive coronavirus quarantine in the U.S.? All right. Now it says, how long do you think a pandemic quarantine could go on with power, running water, the internet, and trash pickup continuing to run as normal? If COVID-19, also known as the Wuhan coronavirus or nCoV 2019, were to spread where you live as it has in China, it's possible that extreme measures could be taken. Possibly even a China-style lockdown where people are told to stay in their homes and where businesses are closed. I'm referring to something much more extreme than just a handful of us self-isolating. While I certainly hope such a situation is unlikely, it's something we should all consider a possibility and get prepared for just in case. Considering whether or not this will be an off-grid scenario will play an extremely important part in your preparations. Selko and I had a very interesting chat about this after I raised the point in a group discussion. I thought you might be interested in our thoughts. I'll skip down. So it says, I'll read through. I thought you might be interested in our thoughts. Of course, there's no way to know exactly how this might go down, so it's pure speculation on our part based on the research of similar situations, knowledge of our systems, and personal experiences. A lot of things are automated, which makes me believe we could potentially have a month or two of relative normalcy with regard to utilities. Even if folks aren't going to work, garbage pickup would be another matter. First things first, electrical power, natural gas, water, and the internet could run a long time automatically or with just a bit of input from someone on a computer. A pandemic isn't going to fry our circuitry like an EMP would. For example, there's nothing general infrastructure wise that will immediately compromise these utilities. But this assumes that everything besides the pandemic is smooth sailing. That we won't have any tornadoes, any hurricanes, any blizzards, any earthquakes, unfortunate bolts of lightnings or accidents. And this is the year of prophecy, so you don't know what the hell is going to come, man. All right? In the months of July and August, it's known as what? Hurricane season. All right? It's hot as hell. So if this thing does happen in the summer, it could spread forth diseases if the garbage isn't being picked up regularly. And the disease spreads quicker in the heat. This is in a full-on pandemic. There's likely going to be nobody to go out there and repair potential damage. Slack here. It says, skip the last portion of this paragraph. And it says, and it also omits man-made problems like riots that damage the infrastructure or even deliberate sabotage. In a full-on pandemic, there's likely going to be nobody to go out there and repair potential damage. And it's possible that even if people are willing, they might not have access to the necessary supplies or equipment if these are items that they get on a just-in-time basis. As for water, it could run for a long time, but it might be safe to drink. We need to be alert that there's nobody there testing the tap water and adding chemicals. I don't love chemicals like fluoride in my water, but I do love essential chemicals better than I like amoebic, dysentery, and shigellosis and cholera. That being said, even if the water wasn't drinkable right from the tap, it would certainly make life easier if folks not on the septic systems could still flush their water. The government will want utilities to remain functional. This is also the government is going to want people to have utilities in the event of any kind of quarantine. People who can zone out in front of the television or play video games are going to be a lot tamer and easier to manage than people who are detoxifying from their cell phones and Facebook and 24/7 television. If there's a way to keep the lights on, I feel fairly confident the government will prefer that. But how the hell is that going to happen when you can't go to work? And if you can't go to work, you're not going to be able to pay the light bill, So, the Most High, which I just want to bring a precept out, it's been, 18 minutes, and I did quote precepts, but I also like bringing them out as well because that's what we do. So this is Isaiah chapter 24. Verse 4, it says, the earth mourneth and fadeth away. We see that throughout all the rest of the world. The only place where it hasn't hit home, so to speak, as far as the people truly feeling it, is America. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. So it won't be no more laughing at, other people's situation, especially when it's your own situation. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. Okay. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. So here's why. When all this hell come upon you, don't ask why. You know why. Therefore have the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burnt, and few men left. you know, because we got to remember too that this guy, Bill Gates, an insider, said that there's too many people on the earth, man, and they want to start killing people off, man. Okay, you have it to where the Lysol already says that in the back of it that it kills SARS and coronaviruses, man. You know, so why is that already on the Lysol bottles, man? If this is such a new disease, nah, man. Esau already had it in the books, man. All right. It says, in videos from China, I haven't seen a lot of trash piling up. So there it appears that particular system is still running. However, trash pickup is what I would expect to be the first thing to go. Will it come to this? This is not a question that anyone can definitely answer. It's just like the utilities. What are the concurrent factors? What would have to happen for this to blow up and explode across the US as it has in China? What will have to happen to stop it from doing that? Flocky, see, I'm slipping all over the place. But I don't want to make this video too long. Just trying to, hit the points and keep it moving. So it says, what will have to happen to stop it from doing that? What are the wild card events that could hasten the spread? Mutation, the holidays, another illness spreading that weakens immune systems. And I noticed ever since that, coronavirus was out there, it's been raining nonstop, man. People have been getting sick. So we don't know what this devil's up to, but we know it's nothing good for America that's coming. A disaster that compromises us to the point we can't shelter in place. Because of the potential for this, we should focus on being prepared. And the only way you can get prepared is by serving Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. That's the only way. If not, it's death to you, man. Let's see, Proverbs 19 and 23. The fear of the Lord tendeth to life. He that have it shall abide satisfied. He should not be visited with evil. Okay? But if you don't have to fear the Lord, i.e., scoffing at the men of the Lord, you're just an atheist, or you believe in Allah, Buddha, you're just a wicked nigga. Well, hey, you got a lot to look forward to, man. And nothing good. All right. So, brothers, I was going to read 2nd Esdras 15 and 14. All right. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. So as this being a year of prophecy, we can see prophecy unfolding. We can see scenarios brewing up upon the earth to where this is quite possible, man. Because guess what? If you live in an apartment building, you're quarantined, you don't have no food in your house, and your baby's crying, guess what? You're going to go to the next man's apartment and see what he got, man. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. All right? Because here they may say, well, we're going to quarantine this place until further notice. Further notice can turn into 3 months, man. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to. All right, martial law. All right, we got to quell, contact. All right, don't worry, we got everything under control. All right. It says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. All right. So there's a fearful times, man. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. The modern day sword is a gun, and spoil their goods. because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Okay? So it's not only coronavirus you ain't have to worry about. You're gonna have to be worried about your next door neighbor, man, that don't have what you have, man. You know, that don't have a stockpile full of Costco goods, man. Just sitting there waiting to be eaten up, man. You know. I actually should start it up. You know, brothers could read this on their own. You know, 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, man. You know, it's just something quick in the spirit, man. 760 million people are being quarantined. All right, so with that, Lord willing, you are edified. Shalom to the elect.